What are my alternatives to foreclosure? Technically speaking, there are roughly 9 alternatives to foreclosure, and I'm going to go through them right now. Now, this is a short sale website, but I do think it's important that everybody that may be facing this situation get the true, right, proper advice. And basically, I'm going to sum it up for you is that a short sale is probably most appropriate when a borrower wants to rid themselves of the property and they are simultaneously experiencing some sort of hardship or financial difficulties. So that's usually when a short sale is most appropriate, but we'll get to that in a second. So first, let's go over our first alternative. Again, a borrower can do nothing. If a borrower does not care about their credit and they don't care about, if they had a home equity line of credit and that's still collectible and they just don't care, you could absolutely let the property go to sale. A lot of borrowers who need to live in the property take this as a reasonable option because they have nowhere else to go. So that's why it's so important to understand your foreclosure timeline, because at the end of the day, your decision relies solely in what you feel is best for you at that particular moment in time. So as long as you understand the foreclosure timeline, you're going to see, someone can ride it out and be in the property, essentially not paying anything, and that's literally what happens. So let's go to number 2. Number 2 is you could just do a payoff. I've run across plenty of people who've actually had equity in their property, but they are just late on payments. And because they were in foreclosure, they didn't know that they could just pay off the mortgage or refinance out of that situation. And yes, it's rare to see, especially in this market, but it does happen. All right, which sort of leads me into the next point, which is reinstatement. Anytime a borrower wants to pay off the total arrearage or amount owed in back payments and interest, attorney's fees, and all that other crap, that is known as a reinstatement. So if a borrower is 8 months, 7 months, 9 months even into the foreclosure process, and they paid off all the arrearage, of course the bank would not foreclose because you would just be bringing the loan current, and that is referred to as a reinstatement. 4 is a loan modification. Loan modifications, as you know, and seen probably in the news or media, they weren't as highly successful as the government and administration planned them. Basically what a loan modification is, and again, this is purely my opinion, but it is a Band-Aid solution to the inevitable. So basically a loan modification is, it's going to be a lower interest rate for a period of 3 to 5 years, 5 years more likely, on a balloon payment or a 5-year arm per se. And it's going to sort of put a Band-Aid on the current problem. A loan modification is not a principal reduction, which is a lot of miscommunication and myths that I see out there on the internet and within the marketplace. So the loan modification, and the biggest thing a borrower, or at least I see borrowers come across, is great, I could afford this loan modification, but in 3 to 5 years, I may be stuck in the same situation that I'm in. Because my house is still going to be, I still owe $300,000 on the house, and it's only worth $200,000. And it can't be realistic to think that the house is going to appreciate 33% up to $300,000 in the course of the next 5 years, especially with the way the economy and the market is right now. Big reason what the loan modifications have actually done to the overall housing market, in my opinion, is that they actually hurt it. However, if you are staying in a property and you're riding this out and you're going to be there for a long time, a loan modification may very well be appropriate for you. It really is a determination on how long you're going to be in the property, how much is owed on it, and all that other stuff, and your hardship and whatnot. Just know that qualifying for a loan modification can be difficult. Next point is a forbearance agreement. Forbearance agreement is pretty much what most lenders nowadays are using as like the trial period to get approved for an official loan modification. So for example, let's say I'm late on my payments 2 or 3 months, and I call the bank and I want to do a workout. We would start out by doing a forbearance agreement, whereas they would take the 2 or 3 months plus interest and everything that I was behind, and they would add that onto the principal balance. And they wouldn't be entering into foreclosure or anything. We're working a forbearance agreement. It's basically like an IOU, but put it onto the back of what I owe you. And once a forbearance agreement is worked out, that borrower is most likely going to qualify or go into a loan modification. So that's what a forbearance agreement is. Partial claim. I've yet to see this done, but it is technically an actual alternative, so I want to give it to you. This is if you had a second lender, and if you went to your second lender and said, hey, I want to borrow money to pay the first lender because I don't have enough money to pay the first lender. Well, in this market, if the property is underwater, the second lender is not going to give you any money. So I don't spend much time speaking on this. Deed in lieu of foreclosure. This is a big one, and one I see so ill-advised. across the country, internet, and whatnot. And a deed in lieu of foreclosure is pretty much giving the keys back to the bank. And a lot of people feel like this was the right thing to do. Now, if you do a deed in lieu of foreclosure, your lender is more than likely not going to come after you. And to be honest with you, I don't even think that they can by law, and that's the point of doing a deed in lieu of foreclosure. However, in a short sale, when it's negotiated properly, the lender isn't going to come after you anyways. They're going to send you the 1099. So the point I'm trying to hammer across here is that in a deed in lieu of foreclosure, I do believe it as a great option. But I do believe it as an option when all other options have failed. Because at the end of the day, deed in lieu of foreclosure is what gets reported on your credit, which will be damaging for your credit future, meaning obtaining lines of credits, obtaining a new mortgage, stuff like that along the lines. So know that a deed in lieu of foreclosure is definitely an option, but in my opinion, it should be the last option. Bankruptcy. Borrowers can absolutely file bankruptcy. However, a bankruptcy will delay the inevitable of a foreclosure, and it will absolutely protect the borrower depending on the time of the bankruptcy that they are filing for. If it's a Chapter 7, it will protect them from all debts and liabilities. And at Chapter 13, you're pretty much doing a workout plan. However, the bankruptcy, I'm assuming it's going to be a Chapter 7 when I say this, and that is pretty much saying that the borrower will be released from all liabilities and debts. The question to ask, though, or ask any bankruptcy attorney is, hey, if this property is the only gorilla on my back, and this is the only debt I have, is a bankruptcy my best option, or is a short sale? And that is a big question that has been debated going on right now. Because what happens is that, yes, a bankruptcy will protect you from all debt and liabilities, but so will a short sale when conducted properly. However, when you file a bankruptcy, what will happen is that the property will eventually be foreclosed upon. And the only way for a bank to deed the property from you as a borrower back to them so that they can liquidate it and resell it is through means of foreclosure, which will ultimately get reported on your credit. This tends to leave the borrower with two black eyes with both a foreclosure and a bankruptcy on their credit history. Now, while having one or the other isn't going to dramatically affect your credit score more or less than the other, I mean, having a BK or foreclosure is going to tarnish your credit, to say the least. However, by having both of them will affect your future credit inquiries or credit gains, I guess you'd say. So, for example, if you have a bankruptcy and a foreclosure on your house, the foreclosure, you can't get a mortgage for 5 years, whereas if you had just a bankruptcy, it'd only be 2. Also, if you're trying to obtain other lines of credit, from any creditor's point of view, I think anyone would agree with me that it would be more favorable to see one or the other, but definitely not both. So don't mind the bad advice that's out there. Your last option, purpose of the site, is a short sale. Again, a short sale is when you want to rid yourself of the property. If you have enough money yourself to bring to the closing table, you can short sell yourself. And that is fine, which would just be a traditional sale with the seller bringing money to closing. So these are the alternatives of foreclosure. I do want to note that I'm not a bankruptcy attorney, I'm not an attorney, I'm not a CPA, nor am I giving legal advice. But this is my opinion on what we see as the alternatives to foreclosure in our marketplace today. So I hope that made some sense for you, and have a good day, and thanks a bunch. Bye.